So I want to talk about John chapter 10. I'm reading from the NLT. So a lot of times people recommend to people that's just started with the Bible to read the book of John. But then I'm like, yeah, but then, as I keep reading it, I think it's probably, I don't know, maybe it's the fourth time or something I'm reading it. Like each time I read it, I feel like I understand it more, because it's easy to see it, but then noticing on the surface level, but that as you go in your Christian walk, you tend to really understand it, not just by what it says plainly, but what the Holy Spirit reveals within you about what it means. And sometimes it's, this thing called hindsight 2020, that when you get to know more about the truth, read the whole Bible, and really understand it. Then when you start to read Book of John again, it's like, now I understand what Jesus is saying. And then not just what he was saying, but what he was predicting. I mean, there are explicit, like obvious things that he would predict, like, and what he's saying is a prediction, like the temple would be destroyed. He predicted that, but that was a very obvious prediction. Some of them is very subtle. Let's say when he's talking about a parable or he's talking about something, and you may understand it in a maybe philosophical kind of way or whatever, but then there's one point, like here, just reading it, I can actually see not what he's just saying, but it's almost like what he says is timeless. It's not only something that it can be something that happened way back in the past, or something that is talking currently when he was speaking in that time, or it can be something that he's talking about in the future. So John chapter 10, 1 to 18. Yeah, so where he talks about being the good shepherd. And then he talks about, how it says here, I tell you the truth, anyone who sneaks over the wall of a sheepfold rather than going through the gate must surely be a thief and a robber. But the one who enters through the gate is a shepherd of the sheep. The gatekeeper opens the gate for him, and the sheep recognize his voice and come to him. He calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. After he has gathered his own flock, he walks ahead of them, and they follow him because they know his voice. They won't follow a stranger. They will run away from him. They don't know his voice. So it says here that those who heard Jesus use this illustration didn't understand what it meant, so I explained it to them. I tell you the truth, I am the gate for the sheep. I am the gate for the sheep, and all who came before me were thieves and robbers, but the true sheep did not listen to them. Yes, I am the gate. Those who come in through me will be saved. They will come and go freely and will find good pastures. The thief's purpose is to steal and kill and destroy. My purpose is to give them a rich and satisfying life. Just reading that, I mean, over here, he's saying here's the gate, right? What does that tell you? The true sheep Okay, so but the true sheep did not listen to them. So he's the gate, and the people that come in lawfully hear the shepherd's voice, and he is the gate, right? Those who come in through me will be saved. Okay, so think of it this way, right? This is at least how I understand it. And then I'll talk about a section that says he's the shepherd now. So he's the gate and the shepherd. Well, I know, just speaking of it, now it's like, I was like, he's the shepherd and the gate? And I just got another thing that I just realized. Anyway, so here, if you see, so let's see, the thief, say the thief is the devil, and it only comes to steal, kill, and destroy. And Jesus is the gate, and his purpose is to give them a rich and satisfying life. If the sheep are outside the compound, they can get destroyed because they'll be stolen, they can get killed and destroyed, by wolves or whoever, right? But if they enter through the gate, how do they enter through the gate? I mean, if you notice, talks about the gatekeeper. So think of Father God as a shepherd here. The gatekeeper are the angels, and the gate is Jesus. So how do people get in, have a rich and satisfying life? They can come and go freely. They have freedom and find good pastures. Yeah, so you can think of the compound as heaven, or you can think of the compound as blessings, however you look at it, right? So, and here's the gate. What does that tell you? So it tells you here that the only way through is Jesus. So elsewhere it says, like in the book, Jesus talks about he is the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. So if the shepherd is in the compound with the sheep, and how do they get to God? They have to go through Jesus, through the gate. So he's saying that it's through no one else, it's only through Jesus you can get saved. Because it says here, yes, I am the gate. Those who come in through me will be saved. Yeah, so there's that. Okay, so let's go somewhere else here. Continue on. It says, I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd sacrifices his life for the sheep. A hired hand will run when he sees a wolf. He will abandon the sheep because they don't belong to him, and he isn't their shepherd. And so the wolf attacks them and scatters the flock. The hired hand runs away because he's working only for the money and doesn't really care about the sheep. I am the good shepherd. I know my own sheep, and they know me, just as my Father knows me, and I know the Father. So I sacrifice my life for the sheep. I have other sheep too that are not in this sheepfold. I must bring them also. They will listen to my voice. And there will be one flock with one shepherd. The Father loves me because I sacrifice my life so I may take it back again. Okay, I'll read that again. The Father loves me because I sacrifice my life so I may take it back again. No one can take my life from me. I sacrifice it voluntarily, for I have the authority to lay it down when I want to, and also to take it up again. For this is what my Father has commanded. So, here he's talking about being the shepherd. Earlier he just talked about being the gate, and now he talks about being the shepherd. So, and you remember earlier I said, think of God the Father as the shepherd and Jesus as being the gate. But now he's saying he is the good shepherd. So he is the gate and the shepherd. And elsewhere, I think before, the other video, I remember him saying that I and the Father are one, and how the Father gives him authority. And then elsewhere in the New Testament, it's either Colossians or Corinthians, probably I think it's Colossians. It says Jesus is the visible image of the invisible God, right? So there's that. And then I remember seeing another video about talking about how debunking the idea of the Bible being having contradictions. And one of the things that stood out to me, she was saying, it says, one point it says Jesus is a carpenter, another place it says Jesus is the Son. Like, which is it? But think of it. Can a carpenter have a son? Yeah. Can the son be a carpenter? Yes. So it's not a contradiction that the carpenter is a son and is also a carpenter. Yeah. So it's also not a contradiction for Jesus to be God and the Son of God. But yeah, so talking about being the good shepherd, here he says he sacrifices his life for a sheep. So he loves the sheep. He is actually, he really cares for his sheep, right? And he really cares for his sheep. And then he also says he knows his own sheep and they know him, just as the Father knows Jesus and Jesus knows the Father, right? And it's only Jesus is really referring to God as Father here, right? No other prophet really referred to God as Father. So, let me see. And he says, I sacrifice my life for the sheep. So when he talks about sheep, he's really talking about people, right? And he is the shepherd. And the shepherd, people follow God, right? And he's equating himself with God, because they should follow him, right? And then the other thing is, he says here that he has other sheep that are not in the sheepfold. So there are other sheep that are not even together in the compound. And he must bring them also, and they will listen to my voice. Somewhere else it says he leaves the 99 to go for the one. It's like, ever heard of, people had experience and they came to Christianity? I mean, I have my own testimony. I made a video on my channel. It's like, I wasn't really looking for Jesus. Jesus found me, and I was like, whoa. And I decided to listen to his voice and follow him. And now I'm part of the flock. And Jesus is my shepherd. And it says here, the Father loves me because I sacrifice my life so I may take it back again. No one can take my life from me. I sacrifice it voluntarily. For I have the authority to lay it down when I want to, and also take it up again. For this is what the Father has commanded. So the Father sent Jesus, and he laid down, he died for us on the cross. And he, knowing that he can take it back again, take it back up again. And before going to the cross, he prophesied subtly and slightly more directly about he's going to go and die and raise back to life in 3 days. So he's saying it again. He's saying that he died voluntarily. He actually died, and he knew he was going to go to the cross. So, and he did it willingly. You know, a lot of points where they want to stone him, he just moves away. He avoids being killed. It's only the cross where he's like, that is how I'm going to die. And a lot of times you see on the thing is saying, oh, it's not my time yet, or what. So he volunteers and he resurrects back to life. So he is saying that he chooses to die for us, the sheep, and then because he has authority to give it voluntarily, and also take it up again, and also to resurrect from the dead. So yeah. That's it. So yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about. So, which is I find to be very fascinating. So, yep, until next time.